Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Crisis Corner series. I've titled this one Medical Murder simply because I don't think I've stressed the importance and the severity of what these vaccines are and how bad they're affecting us. I'm not going to have a 20-minute long video where you guys are sitting back, eating popcorn, watching this. If anything, I'm going to cut straight to the point. Recently in California, they passed a bill, SB 277, which was basically mandatory vaccines for children, regardless of your religious exemption. Okay, regardless of however you feel, basically. If you're in public school, you will be vaccinated. Now, on just the other day, June 26th, they passed the bill SB 279, which is mandatory vaccines for adults. Now, I'm going to be investigating this as well to see what the actual particulars of it are. But right here, I have other examples. SB 792. They came for the daycare workers. Okay, that means that children or people that are taking care of children, they have to be vaccinated because, well, they could spread infections. They could spread diseases. One of the things that I think people don't understand, and if you're curious, I definitely tell people to go out and go look at SB 277. It went into effect July 1st of 2016. Okay, and these are all things that are very, very real. This is happening. This is part of a depopulation, dehumanization campaign. I advise you guys to check it out. But what's happening is they're killing us off through medical murder. They're doing these types of things, and they're using these types of quote unquote cures as provided by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to kill us off. These are soft kill targets, and they're going for the children first. One of the reasons they're doing this is because they want to try to get them hooked young. They want to try to destroy the child's future extraordinarily young. This is why we're talking about Planned Parenthood so much. This is why I'm already talking about autism. This is why I'm talking about so many different birth defects and all these other things that are going on, because this is a medical assault against the future. Okay, and if they can't kill them in the womb with the abortions, then they'll try to soft kill them with the vaccines. Children have to have at least 26 different vaccines given to them. I've talked about this before. You're essentially drugging a child. And I know you're supposed to, give it some dosage of the actual virus to have it build an immunity. Well, good God, there's no reason for your child to be out there, affected by all these other diseases in the first place. If anything, it should be at your house, protected by you, not recovering from a drug-induced coma. You see, we've already talked about how Gardasil is sterilizing young women. I mean, how many times do you have to talk about it? A 13-year-old dying from an HPV vaccine? The CDC came out and admitted that these types of things are happening. This is why you guys have these articles in front of you. What they're doing is they're killing us. And if they're not killing us, then they're trying to alter our DNA. They're trying to alter the form of man. And if anything, this is, like I said, a part of the depopulation and dehumanization campaign. Okay, already in Australia, I don't have a slide for this, but already in Australia, if you do not get your vaccines, you will not get your welfare check. You will not get your Social Security check. This is tied to being wards of the state. And the only reason they're doing all of this type of stuff is because they want to keep track of us. They want to keep track of their cattle, or their chattel, so to speak. Whenever we're doing these types of things, whenever we get on to government-sponsored healthcare, we're essentially giving them the consent to do these types of things. This is how insurance works, clauses, and all kinds of other things like that. Basically, what they need to do is to keep track of you. One of the things I haven't really talked about so far in this video is the fact of how they would be able to keep track of you. And I've talked about this before, them being able to inject tiny RFID chips or even, some kind of tracking chip, microchip, into the actual vaccine. There's things such as smart dust, nanobots, nanotechnology. The technology is definitely there. So one of the things we need to be very cautious of whenever we're actually doing this is what kinds of things are they putting into these vaccines, these mandatory vaccines. What does this actually mean? There's things such as gene drives, and this is why I actually said in the beginning, mandatory DNA altering vaccines is because of just that fact. The fact that they are able to manipulate our genetic code through these types of biologically invading devices. And this is why when we're looking at the vaccine issue as a whole, the medical murder that's occurring, the depopulation, the dehumanization, we have got to understand what that actually means. I mean, the fact that they're pushing so hard to inject your child, or to inject you now with SB 279, shows you the mindset of these people and how they're trying to advance, and how in the future we will all receive some kind of mark. And if it's not an injection mark by this needle, then it is some kind of technological implant. So I'm going to leave you guys with a clip where we have Robert De Niro talking about his film Vaxxed and some of the responses he got with that.
There was a bit of controversy, some headlines at the beginning of this year's festival when it was announced that this film called Vaxxed would be screened at the festival. Later, the festival pulled it. Was it because of the backlash? Were you surprised that people reacted the way that they did?
I was shooting a movie. I was in the middle of a lot of stuff. I think the movie is something that people should see. There was a backlash which I haven't fully explored, and I will. And I didn't want it to start affecting the festival in ways that I couldn't see. But definitely there's something to that movie. And there's another movie called Trace Amounts. And there's a lot of information about things that are happening with the CDC, the pharmaceutical companies. There's a lot of things that are not said. I, as a parent of a child who has autism, I'm concerned, and I want to know the truth. And I'm not anti-vaccine. I want safe vaccines. When you get, some people can't get a certain type of shot, and they can die from it. You know, even penicillin. So why should that not be with vaccine, which it isn't?
So you said you went public for the first time saying that your 18-year-old son does have autism.
Yes.
That had been a very private thing for you. And
Yes.
part of the reason you wanted this film shown was to start that conversation.
Absolutely.
Do you believe you'll now have a role in that conversation going forward?
Possibly, yes. Because the thing is that to shut it down, there's no reason to. If you're scientists, let's see, let's hear. Everybody doesn't seem to want to hear much about it. It's shut down. And you guys are the ones that should be the investigating. Do the investigating.
I think the film was controversial because people felt that the filmmaker had been discredited.
Even he, I'm not so sure about. At the end of the day, even him.
Jane,
well, the one thing, it wasn't. There weren't sponsors or donors that were threatening to pull out of the film festival. It was our filmmakers, and we're known for having amazing documentary films. You can take a look at our lineup, whether it's what we're starting with tonight or some other documentaries that are, equally controversial that we have at the festival. So it was our filmmakers that were pulling out. There's another amazing film about.
I find that amazing, and we're going to talk about that.
But there's another amazing film that was done by Roger Ross Williams that won the Audience Award at Sundance called Life Animated about autism, and it's a really beautiful film about the Susskind family. And
it's a beautiful film, but it's another thing. It's the result of. It's not questioning how some people got autism. How the vaccines are dangerous, if not dangerous to certain people who are more susceptible. And nobody seems to want to address that, or they say they've addressed it, and it's a closed issue, but it doesn't seem to be, because there are many people who will come out and say, no, I saw my kid change like overnight. I saw what happened, and I should have done something, and I didn't. So there's more to this than meets the eye, believe me.
Is that the experience you had, Robert? Something changed overnight?
My wife says that. I don't remember, but my child is autistic, and every kid is different. But there is something there. There's something there that people aren't addressing. And for me to get so upset here today, on the Today Show with you guys, means there's something there. That's all I wanted, was the movie to be seen. People can make their own judgment, but you must see it. And there are other films, other things that also just document and show. It's not such a simple thing.
Do you regret pulling it now in some sense?
Part of me does, and part of me says, let it go for now. And I'll deal with it later in another way. But because I didn't want the festival to be affected in a way, because it was like a knee-jerk reaction, and especially from the filmmakers, frankly, that I
The other filmmakers who were in the festival.
Whoever they were, and I didn't even want to ask. But now I will ask.
Robert, it is nearly consensus in the scientific community that there's no link there. Do you believe that's not true?
I believe it's much more complicated than that. It's much more complicated than that. There is a link. and they're saying there isn't, but there's certain things. There's the obvious one is thimerosal, which is mercury-based preservative. But there are other things there that I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I know because I've seen so much reaction about just let's find out the truth. Let's just find out the truth. I'm not, you know, I'm not anti-vaccine as I say, but I'm pro-safe vaccine. And there are some people who cannot take a vaccine, and they have to be found out and warned that you just don't give a kid a bunch of shots and then something happens. Some parents, you know, even in this documentary, they say, I knew I shouldn't have done it. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I talked to the doctor, or he's the doctor. I should listen. I should listen. I did it. The next day, you know, imagine how the parent feels.